Okay, so I don't have an intro for this yet, so I'm just going to read off a quote from Kurt Cobain. It's okay to eat fish because they don't have any feelings. Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Cam, and welcome to a new series called Achieving Nirvana, where we're going to be going through all of the albums from a little band called Nirvana. My name is Ryan Cam, but I got a whole bunch of new guys here. Well, to the guy to my right, he's been here before, but these guys are somewhat relatively new, so going counterclockwise my direction, or clockwise. StreamYard's weird. Jacob Martin, how are you?
I'm doing good tonight.
Right. We've already got Caleb here. Hello, Caleb. How are you? Thank you.
Hello.
Nick, how you doing?
Doing great. I'm excited to start this brand new series I'm not sure if I was on. I mean, I know I was with you on your channel for Watch Party, but this is like a first actual review I'm on.
You're one of the survivors of the Freddy Got Fingered watch party last
What Freddy Got Fingered is what I want to say.
And totally new to my channel anyway, Scott from Soundlats Studios. Scott, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm ready to dive into Nirvana. I feel like you saying that you wanted to I'll review all the albums of Nirvana has kind of led me down a 90s rabbit hole this year. And I've kind of gone from Nirvana to other 90s artists as well. And I feel like it all kind of started with Nirvana whenever you said, hey, let's review the Nirvana albums.
Well, Nirvana is undeniably, it changed everything pretty much. I think we all can agree. They're one of those bands where you look at and you go, there are very few bands that you look at and go, they changed the game. Nirvana is one of those bands that changed the game. There are only 3 studio albums that they released, and that is unfortunately due to the fact that Kurt Cobain sadly committed suicide and is no longer with us, which is a shame. But their influence is undeniable, and so this is a new series. It's going to be a rather quick one. I want to review more music here on this channel, but it's going to be 3 albums. Well, we'll cover another one, but that's going to be a little further down the road. But like, subscribe, do the thing. Subscribe to all of these guys. We'll get to plugs at the very end. But let's get into Nirvana's very first album released in 1989 called Bleach. But first, here is a little
background information.
I can't wait to see the reaction of some of my subscribers to that little footnote. Bleach.
I think it's funny that everybody uses that.
Little bit first up about the band, and I won't go too long with this one. This is not a biography, but just to give some context. Nirvana was initially founded by Kurt Cobain and his school friend Chris Novoselic. I hope I said that right.
Almost. It's a ch sound. Novoselic.
Novoselic. Okay.
That's you were why close. You were very close, though.
That's why I have Scott here. If I mess up, he can correct me. But the two met in high school in Aberdeen, Washington. Cobain had been toying with music for quite a while. He had actually made a demo tape legitimately called Fecal Matter. I had to double check. That is legitimately the name of his demo tape. But Novoselic liked it so much that the two were like, yeah, let's do something together. Why not? And so they ended up forming a band called The Sellouts, which was a tribute band to, of all things, Creedence Clearwater Revival. Yes, really.
What?
Nirvana started as a CCR tribute band?
Look it up.
I could not picture Kurt Cobain singing Proud Mary.
No,
left a good job in the city.
I cannot either. But then they met another one of their members named Aaron Burkhard to play drums, and the two would end up going away from the CCR and forming a band of their own name. Initially, they were toying around with band names such as Skid Row, Ted Ed Fred, Pen Cap Chew, and Bliss. But they eventually settled on Nirvana because Kurt Cobain thought the name sounded soothing. So by the time of the late 80s, they ended up joining the label known as Sub Pop, which is a bit of a mess, but we'll get to that when we get to Nevermind. They ended up cutting this album called Bleach, which is a sort of reference to needles, drug needles. Initially, the album was supposed to be called Too Many Humans, but Cobain saw an AIDS poster and was like, we need to change that. And so Bleach is in a direct reference to making sure you bleach your needles. If you know, you know. There was also a ghost member of the band named Jason Everman. He was second guitarist. He is on the album cover. He is credited, but he doesn't play on the album and ends up either being fired or quit from the band. And I couldn't find anything definitive on that. It's a bit of confusion there. But regardless, up until the remaster, Everman was credited, but he was never on the album. So that was a bit of a fun but weird fact. And that's all that I have. I thought a lot of that was fascinating. And just general thoughts on the album. First up, Nick, what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a terrible album, but it's not a great album either. I do feel like it's very front-loaded, though. I'm not going to tell you which songs are good, but I'll say, like, both. I listened to this album twice, by the way. Both times, like, I'm getting into it. I'm like, man, this might be a really good album. And then, like, it just gets to a certain point where it just dips without repair. Like, you'll know when I think it dips. I'll make it very clear, but there's a lot of great songs on here, but there's a lot of duds on here as well.
One of the things I found that's funny about this album is that it only cost them $600 to record, mix, and master, and that $600 was paid by the fourth Ghost member.
$606.17 to be very, very specific.
I thought that was really funny. But Nirvana, before I get into my quick feelings on the album, I think what's interesting and important about Nirvana is that they were kind of the spearhead of the grunge movement of the 90s. Like this is still the late 80s, but I feel like to understand this album, you have to find its place in music history. The year is 1989, and hair metal is everywhere. So people like Bon Jovi, Van Halen, Guns N' Roses isn't hair metal. They were more against hair metal as well. But like stuff like Motley Crue, stuff like that, like the frizzy hair, the makeup, the insane guitar solos, and Kurt Cobain hated all that. He thought that it was too much. That sometimes music should just be, as they say, 3 chords and the truth. You don't have to have an insane guitar solo in the song. You don't have to, put on a crazy look. He thought that it was more about the theatrics rather than the music. So Nirvana's place in music history was kind of saying, hey, like, let's step back from that a bit. Let's just go to, she sometimes plays just 3 chord songs with a lot of angst, minimal guitar solos. They're usually just the melody of the song and lyrics that have to deal with the uncertainty of being young. For this album, I don't feel like they quite hit the mark. This album, I feel like they're young. They went into the studio, and from what I gather, the studio kind of interfered with this album a lot. I read that Kurt said that the studio, who was Sub Pop or whatever it is, the record label, was intentionally pushing him to make darker, more grittier, edgier songs. And so I feel that's where we get some of the screamo songs on here, some of the ones where he's just screaming the same words over and over again. And because I feel Kurt Cobain has a very good ear for writing melodies. The first half of this album, you do get a lot of his good melodies with stuff like About a Girl. When you get to the second half of this album, it's pretty much all just stuff like that. And there, don't get me wrong, there is a little bit of that later on the In Utero album when he's going through something more. But not as much as on this album here. This album here is definitely Nirvana's rawest and most, I'll say their most unfiltered album. A lot of this album feels like a band trying to find its sound. Some of the songs on here I feel like are closer to their sound later on than others. But what they really needed was, I think his name was Butch Vig, their producer for Nevermind. kind of took their raw sound, polished it up, and made it, what you would think of as Nirvana. So this album, I feel there's definitely some good moments. It's a decent debut, but it's definitely my least favorite Nirvana album because I'm not as into the more moody, screamy songs, if that makes sense.
I feel like it takes at least an album or two for a band to like really find their sound. It's rare when they're like, oh, they're the person, like not the person, but they're that sound, and they retain that sound for like the rest of their existence.
And if they do have that perfect debut album, they're pretty much living in the shadow of that debut album for the rest of their career. Point in case Guns N' Roses or Boston.
Yeah, I'd say Guns N' Roses. Well, my only exception is probably Guns N' Roses because I think
they got you illusion.
Yeah.
But then is stuff like Spaghetti Incident and Chinese Democracy really up to par with their earlier stuff?
No.
Yeah.
Well, Jacob Martin, what about you?
All right. Well, first off, I gotta say, Nirvana is a really fascinating band. One of the defining bands of the '90s. I actually, before going live, I did listen to Nevermind. Pretty good album. Great iconic songs, good hidden gems. I'm excited to talk about that album. Bleach, on the other hand, the debut. You could tell this is a debut album about a band that hasn't truly found their sound yet. It's not polished. A lot of these songs kind of bleed through, in my opinion, to where they're kind of indistinguishable from another. And to be honest, the rawness of this album got on my nerves fast. I did not care for this album. There's a couple of songs on there that I thought were good. One of them, I think like is like the prototype for Nevermind, and I can't wait to talk about that song. But for the most part, I thought this album sucked.
For me, this is an album of two parts. The first like half of this album I loved. Like I was like, okay, this is some good stuff. And then as soon as we flip the record over, it's like I'm pretty sure they just did the same song that gave it different titles almost. But we'll get to that and more. But let's get into the album proper. Let's start off with track number 1, not the color blue, but Blue. So Nick?
I actually thought this was a really good album opener. When I first heard this song, I thought it was good. I mean, I'll admit the first 5 songs I've always liked from the first few times I've heard it, but there's a couple of songs in this album that actually really, really grew on me, and I really love Blue. I mean, there's no real melody, but like it has like eggs to it that I really enjoy, and I think it's like I'm like, this song rocks. It's a rocking song. I actually really like it. I could see later period Metallica doing something like this, but is this one of their best songs ever? No, not really. But for this album, I really enjoyed it.
All right, Scott?
So the bass intro on this is so heavy. Chris Novoselic is an incredible bass player. A lot of his bass, I found that his bass was really the standout on this album. Between his bass playing and Kurt Cobain singing whenever he's not screaming that he's a negative creep, were the standouts on this album. And the other thing is, and I'm going to explain my name, Dave Grohl is not on this album.
Thank you for bringing that up. I was talking to Nick about that backstage, and I just plumb forgot to mention it. So thank you.
I went ahead and made my name about a Grohl just because the pun was right there. But he's not on this album, and I kind of feel like he was the missing piece of the puzzle. I know some people, or not some people, Dave Grohl himself says he doesn't think he's a very good drummer because he, on Nevermind, kind of copied a lot of disco drum beats. I've seen clips of him saying that, but I think that's kind of what makes him a good drummer, is that he takes like these hard rock songs, and he if he was like copying disco drum beats, like throwing that into a hard rock song is crazy. Not that the drumming is bad on this album, but it's not Dave Grohl. I have the same problem with Rush's debut album when we review that Neil Peart's not on that one. Whenever you have like these just amazing drummers, when you listen to the person who was there before them, you're like, they do the job, but it's not, the next person who does it later on. But
or Phil Collins not being with Genesis at first.
Yeah, if you listen to the studio version of The Knife on Trespass versus the live version on Genesis Live, and Phil Collins really elevates that song. I love the bass on here, and I like that. It's really cool. I think every time we review a debut, I like to talk about, does this introduce the sound of the band well? Yes, this is one of the songs that really shows we're Nirvana. We're here to look tough and, play loudly. This was it's so weird because I'm going to say a lot of stuff about how some of the songs are too noisy. Sometimes the noise works in their favor, like on this song here, because it still sounds like a song. Some of the songs on here are just noise. This is not just noise. This is using noise for a purpose. And that's kind of what they do on some of their later albums, is they're noisy but with a purpose. So this song points towards that. Some of the other stuff I'll talk about, they're just being noisy for the sake of being noisy. But I thought this was a pretty decent opener.
Yeah, we'll get to that as soon as we flip the record. But Jacob Mark.
All right, so this song was all right. This was one of the few songs on the album that I didn't mind. It has a really good riff. It's a really good bass, good guitar riff. Kurt Cobain sounds solid on this song. I don't know if I can say this is like, if this is the song that introduces you to Nirvana, would it make me say, wow, I'm impressed? I think Smells Like Teen Spirit is a better example of that when we get to Nevermind. But for this album, like, this one's fine for what it is. There's this one part where he keeps repeating the same line at the end, and my mom caught part of that, and she's like, is this a broken record? I'm like, I had to say that because, yeah, this is definitely an album, that's for sure. This is one of the better tracks on the album. It's not one of the ones I hated, so I'll give you that. If I have a top 5, this one is on there.
Yeah, this is in my top 5 as well. The problem with repetition will get worse later in the album, but again, we will certainly get to that. But to Scott's point, I love the bass here. As soon as I heard that, I'm like, this is some good stuff right here. And just that bass carries throughout the entire song. And I just, like I said, if I have a top 5, and I do, then this is going to be on there. But let's go to song 2, and let's take a trip to the barber. Well, specifically, Floyd at the Barber.
All right. So, man, I love Floyd the Barber. I thought this was a great song. When I first heard this album, this was actually my absolute favorite on the album. It was the one song that I actually really, 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 really liked on first listen. And it's still in my top 3. I still really enjoy this track. I don't know why I like it so much. It's just one of those songs where it's just, man, this is an epic song. Even Caleb agrees. I like that. But yeah, this is a really great song. This is a big classic for me. I love it.
All right, Scott.
Okay, the first time I heard this song, I thought, what the heck is this? This is trash. But I've listened to the album 3 times now. The first listen, then I listened to it a few days ago, and then I listened to it again on the way home from work today. And I don't know. This time listening to this song, I was like, I think I'm finally getting it. Maybe it's because I've been listening to other Nirvana in my free time, and I'm making me understand some of these songs a bit more. I've been listening to Dumb and Penny Royalty from In Utero a lot, and Heart Shaped Box, which I think is my favorite Nirvana song now. But listening to some...
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah. It used to be Smells Like Teen Spirit, but I don't know. Something about Heart-Shaped Box. We'll get to that one, though. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But, man, I actually was kind of vibing to this song. Where it was like, do, 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 do. And with all the heavy guitars. Like, the first time you hear it, you're like, oh. But then, if you listen to Nirvana a while, it's like, I think I'm starting to get it. Okay. Just bop your head along, rocking out. You're jamming with Kurt. Exactly. I don't know if this is going to be in my top 5, but I at least don't hate the song anymore.
Right, Jacob Martin?
Well, I've listened to this song twice. I'm sorry, I think this song is trash. I did not care for this song.
Okay.
All it is to me is just random incoherent mumbling from Kurt Cobain. And it's like, I don't care who Floyd is in the song. And then he screams midway into it. And, I don't mind people screaming in rock music. I mean, Steven Tyler from Aerosmith can do screams effortlessly and make it sound awesome. But here it just sounds like, and I'll talk about this in the back half of the album. Here he just sounds like some annoying man-child who doesn't know when to shut up. That's the best way to describe some of the screaming on this album. I can't tell you anything about the song except he screams a lot, and that's about it. So, I didn't care for this.
To quote Weird Al Yankovic, sing coherent, we don't wanna. Buy our album, we're Nirvana.
That's a good song, by the way. It smells like Nirvana.
Also, did anybody catch the reference that Floyd the Barber was the name of the barber in the Andy Griffith Show?
I caught that. I watched that show a lot growing up, and I'm like, of all the random references, name drops you had to do that character. Now I'm ready for the Foo Fighters to sing a song about Barney Fife.
Maybe that's who There Goes My Hero was about.
Or I Dream of Jeannie. It's in 2025 we're going to be bringing about Perry Mason metal. But this is in my top 5. I love this song quite a bit. This first half of the album, I was loving the energy of it. If it had kept this energy, it would just be excellent. But we'll get to it. But my point is that the guitars here really carry this thing. And I, like to Scott's point, I was just jamming to this thing. It was just really, really fun stuff. But I think we can agree this next track, About a Girl, I think we can agree this is the best song on this album. Correct?
It's funny because you say that, and if we would have went by just my first listen, I would have disagreed. I would have said, sorry, I disagree with you, Ryan. But that was my first listen. I'm going by my second listen, and yes, I have to agree. This is most definitely the best song on the album. I don't know why this wasn't my favorite. For some reason, it didn't click with me at first. At first, it was my third favorite song on the album. So there were 2 songs that I thought were better than this song at first. Floyd the Barber and Love Buzz. Those are the 2 songs I thought were better than this song. But then this song shot to number 1 immediately after listening to it again. I'm like, man, put good production on this song. This is a Nevermind song. This is the most Nevermind song I've heard on this album. I think we could all agree on that as well. It's a very Nevermind sounding song, but with the production of Bleach. So, yeah, I thought this was a great song. I thought it was a huge standout. And, this is definitely one of their best songs.
All right. Scott?
This is one of my top 10 Nirvana songs, actually. I love this song. So, apparently I watched an interview with Novoselic, and he said that Kurt was playing Meet the Beatles a lot. And that's kind of where this song came from, was because Kurt was listening to a lot of early Beatles, especially Meet the Beatles. And I can kind of hear that. There's kind of an early Beatles vibe to this song. Except, in a Nirvana kind of way. I love the guitar at the beginning, how it's kind of got the clean sound. Doom, 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 doom. And then the drums come in. I wish it was Grohl, though. I wish it was Grohl. Grohl would have had a much cooler entrance if it was Grohl. We'll get to that, though.
Yeah.
Because I love the MTV Live Unplugged version of this song even better than the studio one. But if we're going to review that album, we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
The melody on this song has like the clearest melody of any of the songs on the album. This one has, and it's a killer melody too. It's wow, especially the chorus. It gets stuck in my head that I can see you every night. That's been like that line has just been in my head. That and like the da 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 da. I can see you every night. You know, that's been stuck in my head for weeks now. And I'm like, this guy can write songs like this, and we're gonna have songs about him just screaming he's a negative creep. You're gonna hear me brand about that song a lot. But it's like, obviously, I feel like there was some interference from the label. They must have been like, no more songs like this, Kurt. We want more loud and we want more angst. Because this song right here, and it points more to Nevermind. I heard that Polly from the next album was written about this time. If they had put that on this album, because that's more of an acoustic song and would have offset the angsty stuff better, and put this on Nevermind, I like both albums a lot better. Especially if this was on Nevermind with the polished production. Man. And Dave Grohl. Oh my gosh. But sadly, no. Still love this song, though. It's really great. I like it. Definitely the best song on this album.
Yeah, in regards to a negative creep, in the words of The Weeknd, save your tears for another day. Jacob
Or for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Well, I actually thought this song was even worse than about Floyd the Barber. This song was horrible. I couldn't stand every second of this song. Kidding.
I was just
This is the best song on the album.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if I had a baseball cap right now, I would have been pointing at it. I would have been like,
Stop the cap.
Yeah, this was the song that you could see the potential of where Nirvana could go. As Nick and Scott previously said, this song could have been on Nevermind, and it would have been one of the top 5 songs on that album, especially if it had a more polished production. But seeing what we got on this album, smaller budget, no Dave Grohl, independent album, you see the potential with this band. You got some clever lyrics, you got some good guitar strumming, good melody. Yeah, this is a really good song. Easily the best song in an otherwise crap album. So good job about it, girl.
This is the equivalent of Diamond in the Rough, this song. Like I believe Scott said it feels like it belongs on Nevermind, or was it Nick? I'm blanking right now.
Both of us.
oh, that was me and Scott both collectively agreed.
Both of it. And Jacob. I think Jacob, too.
Yeah.
Everybody.
But this feels very much like they're on their way there, but they're just not there yet. So yeah, love this song quite a bit. But now we get to a song that I'm interested to hear everyone's thoughts on. I mean, you could say that for all the songs here, but this one in particular, because I'll get to me in a second, but let's go to school. Nick?
I don't have school until Monday, so I don't know. This school. Anyways, I actually really like School. The song that is. I actually really like this song. It's a song that I've always actually really enjoyed. It was number 5 on my list on first listen, and it's still number 5 on my list. So it hasn't grown on me, but it hasn't like I haven't disliked it anymore. It's not like one of my absolute. I'd say this song and Blue are 2 songs that are like songs that are in the top 5 because it's only on this album. Like if this was on Nevermind or In Utero, they wouldn't have even scratched the top 5. But it's just because they're on this album that they're top 5 songs. I like when he yells, "No recess, no recess." I'm like, already then. You know what? I actually like it. Because there are parts of the album when he repeats the same thing where I'm like, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. But we'll get to that. We'll get to the first one of the examples of that when we get to it. But believe it or not, I actually really like the song. I know for a fact that I know for a fact that one of you guys are not going to like this song, but I personally really enjoyed it.
Yeah, Nick's gonna turn into Arnold from Kindergarten Cop. Shut up!
That's what I was thinking.
That's Kurt Cobain on Scentless Apprentice on In Utero.
Scott, go ahead.
I actually really like this song. Now, granted, the lyrics are extremely repetitive because it's the same 2 lines, and then the bridge is a different 3rd line, and then it goes back. But I don't know. The part where he goes, "No recess," I thought he was saying "don't resist" there for a second, like it was "take no prisoners" or something. But no, I think it's even funnier now that Nick clarified what he was saying because the song is called "School." But if you can get past the repetitiveness, which I think actually works to this song's favor, unlike a few other songs on this album, I think it's actually a pretty good song. I mean, it's decent at least. And I feel like definitely one of the better songs here on the album.
All right, Jacob.
I like this one as well. This actually, I will spoil, as my second favorite song on the album. This is one of the more memorable tracks. I actually really love the "no recess" line. That was what sold me into thinking, okay, this is one of the better songs on the album. I can't say it's an amazing Nirvana song, but considering the context of what we're dealing with, I'm like, okay, this is one of the catchier, more memorable songs on the album.
Yeah, this is in my top 5. I greatly enjoyed this one. I love the "no recess" line. I was prefacing this because I was like, I have a feeling someone in here is just straight up not going to like this one, and it's probably going to be me. But no, we're all in agreement.
Oh, wow.
This was actually better. It was actually quite good. And we're approaching the end of the first side, but let's close things out with, I think, the one that started it all, Love Buzz. Nick.
I love this song. This is another amazing song on the album. I love the beginning. It's one of those songs where I'm just vibing to it the entire time. I'm like, this is the top 3 on the album. I gotta say, the top 3 on this album are really, really good. I love the top 3. Love Buzz, Floyd the Barber, and About a Girl. These are high quality Nirvana songs. Like, if it wasn't for these 3 songs in particular, this album will get a really, really low rating. And here's where my compliments go to an end, because things are going to get south from here, I'm afraid.
Well, Scott?
So this was Nirvana's debut single, and I think it's one of my favorites because it's a cover song. When did I agree with Trippy Hippie that the covers are better than the originals on this? But yeah, I've actually really liked this song. I love Novoselic's bass line on here. Do 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 do. It kind of got an Eastern feel to it, almost Within You, Without You, or Kashmir-esque. Kind of feels like that. And then when Kurt Cobain enters, he's kind of doing a different voice. I haven't ever really heard him use that voice again in any other song. But he's like putting on a voice who's like, "Would you?" So I don't even remember all the words. But he's like, "Oh, you are the queen of my heart." When he sings it like that, and I'm like, that's definitely a choice. But it works for this song. This is in my top 3. This is one of the best songs on the album.
Jacob?
Well, to quote Nick, this is the last positive thing I'm going to say about this album. This is in my top 3. This is another really solid Nirvana song. I wish I heard the original version before going on the stream to compare which one I like better. But great song regardless. The bass playing's really good. I do like the way Kurt Cobain sings on this song. And I don't think any of these songs are anywhere near the best song on Nevermind. But this and About a Girl, I think, especially the ones that show potential of where Nirvana ended up being a couple of years later.
Yeah, we're all in agreement. I greatly enjoyed this one. This one, looking at my list, let me just double check before I say anything, is also in my top 5 as well. The bass line is just phenomenal. It just carries this whole entire song. And yeah, this is right around the time where the album goes kind of south. So let's not flip the record over yet, but let's get into the bad stuff, or well, eking closer to it, starting off with Paper Cuts. Nick?
Yeah, I'll admit I hated this song at first. This is a song that I thought was really bad, but I'll admit on this listen, I thought it was just okay. Like there's parts of it that I was like, okay, it's okay, but then there's just parts where it gets really. I don't want to curse, but it gets really freaking noisy, and I'm like, it's there, it's fine, it's okay, it's nothing terrible. We're not into the terrible stuff yet, but it's okay. I mean, this is not good by any means, but it's not the worst. We're getting closer to the worst.
This song sounded like Kurt Cobain gave me a paper cut and poured lemon juice on it.
I was wondering which one of us is going to make a paper cut analogy, and that the answer is Scott.
That's what it sounds like, because first you hear all this feedback at the beginning. It's like, and you can use feedback to good use in your song. I've heard it, but this use here it certainly serves no purpose other than to be noisy. And then there's some kind of weird echo on Kurt's voice, and he's like, and it's like, this feels like some kind of horror soundtrack. Like, I'm like, is this supposed to be in a horror movie or something? And every time he screams on here, I'm like, ugh. But then there's like an A section that's all the noisy stuff, and there's a B section where he does more of a clean guitar tone. I actually kind of like the B section of this song. It's got kind of an interesting feel to it, but it's only there for a few seconds, and then we have to go back to and I'm like, dude, Kurt, who hurt you? What's going on, man? Like, let it all out, but maybe don't maybe don't release that song.
Do another take, perhaps. And shout out to Dane Bramage, who's About a Girl? Question mark?
Yep. There goes my hero. He's not on this album yet.
Well, he's got another year. Jacob Martin. He did the gladiator thumbs down.
Yeah. I don't really have much to say on this song, and a lot of the song we'll be getting up to. Well, there's actually one song that I do want to talk about that's like very memorable in the wrong ways. But a lot of these songs going forward, it's going to be a broken record. I didn't care for it. Most of this song is just Kurt Cobain screaming his head off in the most obnoxious way, and there was like no purpose behind it. So I just like zoned out because of it. So next.
Yeah, I didn't care for this one either. And to Scott's point, the yelling and the screaming, I was just like, maybe that's why they named it paper cuts. Like someone in the studio got a paper cut, they made those sounds, and like, say that's not bad. Write it down. Like let's record that. So yeah, not good stuff. But let's flip the record over and into the void, in the words of Black Sabbath. Starting off with, brace yourselves, folks. Negative Creep. Nick. The first one on the channel, the wastebasket. Here we go.
Yep. The first time on the channel.
The New York Rangers trash can has brought its debut over to Ryan's channel, and I mean, to be fair, if I had the trash can available, I would have brought this the entire time I was watching Freddy Got Fingered. But I digress. Yeah, this song sucks. I'm a negative creep. I'm a negative creep. I'm a negative creep. I'm a negative creep. I'm like, when's this gonna end? No, this is terrible. And that was like my first listen, and not gonna lie, I had to skip over quite a bit of songs on this second half. I'm not even gonna lie. So, and you know what's worse? This is not even the worst song of the album for me.
No, it's not.
It gets worse.
Scott,
as the one, as the one, one character from Scary Movie would say, "Wait, there's more."
there is more. But Scott, go ahead. I should have rephrased it to say, try to say something nice.
I will. But this song is going to join, I can just tell this song is going to join Dust My Broom in the ranks of cringeworthy meminess in our Music Junkies group. I can just tell already that this is going to be the butt of our jokes for a while now. If Dust My Broom was the one before with the 4 guitar riffs that sound the same, this has got to be it. This has got to be the new butt of our jokes. I will say though, if there's a negative creep, does that imply that there's also a negative weirdo?
Or a positive creep.
Or a positive creep. A little Radiohead reference there. But
next week on Unsolved Mysteries.
Where do I begin about this song? Okay, so we start off with some drumming, some guitar playing, and you're like, okay, a little heavy. It's rocking, it's going. And then Kurt Cobain opens his mouth. He starts singing about something. And then he just repeats the same 2 lines over and over again. We were talking about how repetitious this album can be sometimes. This is one of the prime examples, and it's where the repetition does not work in the favor of its song. You get over and over and over again, I'm a negative creep. 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 Daddy's little girl ain't a girl no more. Daddy's little girl ain't a girl no more. Over and over and over and over and over and over. I swear the Beatles have probably said, nah, hey Jude less times than Kurt Cobain has said, I'm a negative creep.
I can confirm Scott is not lying. That's actually the song.
You want to know what's even crazier? This song is in my top 5 because that's how bad the rest of the songs are on this album.
Oh man.
I'm not even joking.
Okay. That's something to
So
look
if
forward
this
to.
song here, which pissed me off because of how many times he said negative creep and I'm a negative creep, I'm a negative creep, I'm a negative. Well, if you look at the album cover, he is a negative creep because it's in negative, but I'm a negative creep, I'm a negative creep. Like, dude, we get it. You're a freaking negative creep.
Talk about something else.
Can
now.
we skip to the next song, please?
Jacob Martin, anything to add?
I think this song is actually kind of funny though because of that. But this song gets the thumbs down. Not Kurt's finest moment here.
Hey. All right, so this song is a song. I will never forget the first time I heard Kurt Cobain go, I'm like, as soon as he started singing that, I'm like, I cannot take this song seriously. Like, whatever you were trying to say on this song, the way you were singing like that, I'm like, I can't take this seriously. This song's hilarious. Like, this is so bad, it's hilarious. Like, it sounds like, what if they turned The Dark Knight into a musical and Christian Bale's Batman started to sing? He went up to the Joker and started going, I'm a negative creep, I'm a negative creep, I'm a negative creep, go Joker, I'm a negative creep, I'm a negative creep.
Instead of something in the way, if in the Batman, if he listened to Negative Creep, that would pretty much be it.
Yeah, that'll about do it. But a shout out to Dane Bramage again. Kurt screaming bloody murder is definitely my favorite thing about Bleach. Just total noise.
That's what like a good 75% of this album is just noise. Like on Nevermind, at least the noise is put to good use, and it uses it to elevate the actual songs. You don't just put 3 guys in a room and have them scream their heads off. Like, you know, they actually on the next album had ideas. This album, it just feels like sometimes they're just like that was called our album.
Yeah. Oh, I'm pretty sure Kurt Cobain got the screaming from that one song on the John Lennon debut Plastic Ono Band album where John Lennon kept going, well! I'm like, shut up! Shut up!
Oh man!
Oh my gosh!
But yeah, this song was so bad. It's so hilariously bad that much like Take It Like a Friend by CCR, I don't like the second half of this album. Like, nothing stood out on that at all. Bad songs, doesn't stick out. This one at least is so hilariously bad that it still made my top 5, kind of like what Scott's saying. So
we need
at least you get points for that.
We need a So Bad It's Good playlist with Take It Like a Friend and Dust My Broom.
Here's the part of the stream where I say I've never heard of Dust My Broom, so I have no idea what you guys are talking
Listen
about.
to the Fleetwood Mac Mr. Wonderful album and notice how 4 songs are exactly the same song with different lyrics. The first one is called the first one is called Dust My Broom.
Okay.
And there's like 4 songs on that album that literally open with
Well, after all that, I don't think there's anything I can add other than the song is not good. And I think that's the most generous thing that I could say here. My big thing was that I swear to God, Cobain or Novoselic?
Christ.
What? I don't know where I got that name from, but the other member of Nirvana that's singing, he transcended the song and just turned into Lemmy Kilmister. That's who I heard on this whole thing. And I don't know how that happened, but it just did. It was a pretty painful listen. But next up,
but I still haven't found out if he's a negative creep. I wish someone would tell me if he's a negative creep 50 billion times.
Well, considering he wrote songs like Polly and Rape Me, I think he is a negative creep.
In due time. But
we'll get to those eventually.
Let's try not to scoff at the song Scoff. So, Nick. That good. Enough. Should I move on or
no? This song. What is this? Here's my analogy of what the song is. Only Jacob would know it. This is basically the heavy metal "Have a Cup of Coffee."
Imagine Kurt Cobain going,
it's a song by there's a Johnny Cash song that me and Jacob determined that is the worst Johnny Cash song. And I just have a cup of coffee. And it's just Johnny Cash going, "Oh, have another cup of coffee. Oh, have another cup of coffee." But like instead of that, it's like, "Give me back my alcohol. Give me back my alcohol. Give me back my alcohol. Give me back my alcohol." Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Ah, what are we doing? This is this is just I don't in my eyes I'm not lazy. In my face it's not
Oh, he just Neil Young'd out of here.
Oh,
pretty much, but
I wonder how bad it would have been if he heard this at a Jersey Mike's.
Oh no!
no!
Oh, my.
Needless to say, I didn't like this song. It's the worst song on the album, by the way, for me.
Is he? Where'd he go?
Hopefully he's all right.
Text him.
Yeah, because I want to save my thoughts for whenever he gets back because I have a pretty good description of this song.
One of the comments says, "Will forever love Nirvana. Bleach definitely isn't for everyone, though."
Yeah, no, it's
I'll
it's
tell
an
you
album.
this. I'll tell you this, Dame Bramage. If the first 5 songs was the album, like if the other 6 songs were like the first 5 songs, this would be like a 9.5 out of 10 album for me. I would love it, but the quality drop is insane. It's soft.
Yeah.
I'll just go ahead and say what I wanted to say, and then I'll tell it again whenever he gets back.
Yeah.
I have one thing to say about this song and one thing only. POV, you locked Kurt's beer in a heart-shaped box.
Oh my god.
That's all I have to say about this song. If you know, you know.
Wait! Where's that beer in the box?
It's because he keeps going, "Give me back my alcohol, give me back my alcohol, give me back my alcohol, give me back my alcohol."
Jacob, you have to admit that was a pretty good analogy for me, though.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
It's Nirvana having a cup of coffee.
Well, imagine if Kurt Cobain covered that song.
I wouldn't put it past him.
That's cup of coffee.
He likes to troll people.
Hey guys, I found this Johnny Cash song. It's the greatest Johnny Cash song ever. I think it's better than Ring of Fire. It's called Cup of Coffee, man. Cup of Coffee.
Kurt Cobain used to troll people, and
this stuff will sell millions.
He used to troll people, and he used to tell people that he liked Alvin and the Chipmunks sing the Beatles better than the Beatles themselves.
What?
Look it up. Kurt Cobain used to say Alvin and the Chipmunks sing the Beatles was one of his favorite albums. And it was better than the actual Beatles. Just to troll people.
That doesn't sound right.
The same album where they're like,
yep, that's the one.
oh my gosh, I heard that cover. It made my ears bleed. It was that bad.
Now I see why he likes to scream so much.
Oh no. All right, first off, we heard anything from Ryan?
Did we message the?
He didn't even message me.
Oh, well, hopefully he's coming back. Oh,
yeah, I don't want to be the new co-host.
His
Oh,
own
he's
channel.
texting me right now. His internet died at death. That's what he said.
oh
No,
no.
I'll put it to you. I'll put it to you exactly.
How is he gonna end the stream though?
My internet died at death. I'm gonna ask him. How are we gonna end the stream?
Wow.
It's just
Like,
gonna
we're-
go on and on forever, just like Negative Creep.
This happened on his first one.
Oh no.
No wonder this album is bad. It kicked Ryan off.
I think Nirvana came back to haunt Ryan after this review.
Hey, whoever kicked Ryan off, Nevermind is a much better album, even with Polly on it.
I love Polly personally, even
The
though
music,
it is
the music of it.
it's one of those songs where I love the music, but I hate love
Yeah.
the music, but I hate the lyrics.
Yeah, I couldn't get past the lyrics. It's kind of like how I feel about Brown Sugar by the Rolling Stones.
Fair enough. Is that Jake, like 3D cinema Jake?
Oh, hey, he's back.
Okay.
Negative Creep.
So this is what happens when we talk about negative creep, like my internet dies a death.
I don't think Kurt liked that you dissed his song. He's back to haunt you.
Well, technically, we all dissed his songs.
So we should all give our apologies.
No, I think I'll
Well, should I be on apologies?
Apparently, but I'm sorry, guys. I did not mean for that to happen, but
that's okay.
I am.
Okay, so if you want to know what I said about Scoff, I said I'm going to say one thing and one thing only. POV, you took Kurt's beer and locked it in a heart-shaped box. Not funny?
I think his internet is failing on him again.
Still acting up.
Ah, man, this is just not going well for me. Sorry,
Hey, that's all right. That's all right.
Scott, you cut out really bad. Can you say that again?
Yes, I said I was going to say one thing and one thing only about Scoff. POV, you stole Kurt's beer and locked it in a heart-shaped box.
There you go.
All right.
But hey, much like Nirvana's debut, the first episode is a little rocky, but it'll get better from here.
There we go. I don't really have much to add on this song. I'm just gonna say from Scoff on onward, my thoughts are the exact same. Very sucky song. There's not much going for it. Nothing about it stands out. After Negative Creep, I checked out of this album. So, the rest is gonna sound like a broken record.
It's going to be the same way for me, actually.
Mm-hmm. All of us.
All right, well. Man, Ryan, he's having it hard.
I agree.
Oh, man.
Let's
Well,
talk about a Girl again. Let's talk about that song again, how great it is.
About a Girl.
Yes.
Pretty good.
Oh, such a great song. You had good production to that song, man. You got a perfect Nirvana song right there, like a perfect song.
Yeah,
Like,
if only that was on a better album.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he might be coming back.
Okay, I am
There we
so sorry. That's not how I planned all of this out. I'm gonna try and angle this so you all don't see my fan. You all can hear me, okay?
I can-
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
All right. So I think what's gonna happen is that I'm gonna end it here. I'm gonna work on it. Give me like a few minutes, and then I will get it fixed, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, part 2.
Or
If-
two.
If everybody got that.
Gotcha.
I got it.
Gotcha.
All right. Thank you all so much for watching. We will be right back. I do apologize, but we're going to end it. We'll be back hopefully in a few minutes. We'll be right back.
Okay.